Hi, this is Sarah.
And this is Rachel.
And this is the Rippah Diaries, a podcast where we rip apart episode by episode the Vampire Diaries. Warning, this is a rewatch podcast. There's always spoilers mentioned. There's going to be spoilers mentioned today.
Definitely. This week we're talking about season 2, episode 22, the season finale, As I Lay Dying.
Wow.
You already all know it. If you're watching this podcast, you already know.
You know.
But yeah, As I Lay Dying, it's Damon that's laying dying.
It is Damon laying dying. I can't believe we've made it this far. So excited that we're at the season 2 finale.
I know. I do love season 2. But something about season 3, I mean.
Yeah, the best.
It just hits.
The best. And this episode is obviously a setup for that one. I talked about it a little bit in the last episode that the sacrifice before this one was really the real finale of season 2. And there's a technical name for it actually for writers. I don't know what it is off the top of my head. I should have written it down. But there is like a term for this sort of episode that's like a kind of a hangover episode of. It is technically speaking the actual finale, but it's really just being used to clean up plots that they didn't really finish in the actual story arc finale of the last one. And of course, the big thing there is Damon with his werewolf bite that he is dying. And we pick up with Elena at the Gilbert house. We see poor Elena. Oh. So much like responsibility, so much grief at 17 years old. And she's looking into Jeremy. He's in his room, laying on his bed asleep. Yeah. And she closes the door and she goes into the next room, which is Jenna's room. And, of course, it's empty because in the last one, Jenna died. Yep. And she looks around and she leaves that room, too. That room is cursed, first of all.
Oh, my God.
I think that's the same one that was her parents', I have to assume. Maybe there's a guest bedroom. I haven't really done the layout to know. But I'm like, either way, bad.
I think it might be a guest room because I think Alaric at some point says he doesn't want to sleep in
either of those
rooms.
Yeah. I know, but I was always unclear because I'm like, there's only so many doors.
She should have burnt that place down.
Yeah.
Cursed,
I understand why she does.
Yeah.
And so suddenly Damon shows up and he's saying to Elena that he wants to apologize for feeding her his blood to try to turn her into a vampire, that was wrong. And she's like, yeah, it was. And he says, and I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I need it.
Yeah.
Which we, of course, as the audience, obviously know again. He's going to die. He's going to die. He was bit by a werewolf. He's here to beg forgiveness before dying, to, like, make peace. And unfortunately, Elena doesn't know any of this. She, thinks, I don't know what she thinks, but she's just like, and I need some time. Maybe a lot of time.
Yeah.
And he says, like, take all the time you need, and he leaves. And it's very heartbreaking because you're like, Elena, no.
I know.
He's gonna die.
I know. Oh, I feel for Damon.
Yeah, I feel so. And it's nice that he does this. Like, it takes dying to, like, apologize, but he did it.
Yeah, at least he did it, I guess.
And also then now we go into the next scene at the Salvatore house where we see Damon's planning to die a lot sooner than we even thought he was going to. Yeah. He does not want to go through what Rose went through. So we see him go home. He gets a little drink. He opens the curtains up, is looking out the sunlit windows. He's letting the sun shine on his face. And he takes off his daylight ring, standing in the sun.
Oh, my God.
The intention is so obvious. Obviously, Damon would rather die right here, right now, than have to go through what Rose went through. And I think also maybe a little bit more so is having to put Stefan through what he went through, you know, like,
I think so too.
I think he knows that, like, not only would it be terrible to go through what Rose went through, but also to have to put somebody else through what he went through. I'm sure he recognizes is like such a burden on somebody. Like,
yeah, I think so too.
So, yeah, it's like a multi-purpose thing, I think. And so we see Damon's skin burning.
Yeah. Which, I have to say, I love this scene. These big, beautiful windows with the stained glass, like, music. Crests.
Yeah.
The music. This scene is like a religious experience. Like, this is beautiful. It looks so good. There's something about him, like, standing in the sunlight like this.
Yeah.
It's so good.
But anyway. And again, like, the sacrificial thing of trying to, like, prevent pain for everyone else.
Yeah.
It's such a good scene. But before his body can actually burst into actual flames, as we've seen happens, Stefan saves the day.
Thank God.
Stefan appears out of nowhere and pushes Damon into the shadows, like taking him out of the sunlight.
Yeah.
And Stefan tells Damon, like, you're not doing this. And Damon says, you know what happened to Rose, Stefan.
Yeah.
Which, again, alludes to what we already would have suspected was why he was doing this. Damon knows how awful it was for Rose, but does Stefan actually know? Like, he wasn't there.
Yeah, Stefan was MIA that whole episode. He probably doesn't even really know.
Yeah, like, he was told through Elena, and I'm sure Damon didn't really tell him that much about it, but like...
Yeah, Damon, I think, pretty clearly didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, even if Stefan knows about it, like, he doesn't really get it. He wasn't really there. So I'm like, Stefan doesn't really know what happened to Rose, but sure. And so, again, with this of, like, he's going to go full force in trying to save Damon. He vamp speeds Damon all the way down to the basement and into the cellar and locks the door, like, trapping him into the cellar. And he tells him that he's not dying today. And Stefan says that he will find a cure and that he has Bonnie looking for something. Like, they're going to do this. Damon is laying on the ground coughing up blood. He's literally already dying at this point.
He's unwell.
And Stefan's like, lay still. Conserve energy. Conserve strength, he says. And, like, leaves.
Yeah.
Off to a great start.
Yeah, not looking good for them. But looking good for some other brothers. Yeah. For now, at least. We see Klaus, like, wakes up, clearly, like, naked in the woods.
Yeah, covered in dirt.
It finally looks like it's spring outside. Yeah. It's very pretty. Like, the natural light worked so well. It looked so good. And Klaus is sort of, like, you know, he looks like he's coming to. And he's sort of, like, smiling when someone, like, throws clothes at him. And it's, of course, Elijah.
Classic.
Who's just been, like, tracking him this whole time. And Klaus is like, that was amazing.
Yeah, that was so good.
And he's like, that was awesome. How long has it been? Because he doesn't know how long he's been a werewolf. And Elijah tells him it's been 2 days. So Klaus is like, oh, good to know. I can transform whenever I want, like at my own will.
Yeah.
Which, crazy.
Yeah, good to know.
Yeah.
But also 2 days?
Yeah, 2 days. What's been going on?
Yeah, how is Damon alive, first of all?
I thought about this too. I think they justify it because
it was a nip.
It was like a nip. It wasn't quite as much of a bite as maybe Jules and Rose.
Yeah.
I think. That's the only way I'm like, it kind of makes sense.
Well, I was also like, I guess the 2 days timeline here is a little like loose because he says almost 2 days. So I'm like, it might be a situation where it's really probably been more like a day and a half. I don't know. It's like a little unclear where we're at in like a timeline here.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Damon situation, I'm like 2 days?
Yeah. David's just been going on like this for 2 days.
Yeah.
But yes, so Klaus has also been a werewolf for the 2 days. He transforms at will. And Elijah is like, chop, like, come on. Let's get to my siblings. I want, like, remember our bargain. And Klaus is, of course, kind of, like, playing with him. He's like, what was that again? Oh, yes. Reunite you with our siblings. And Klaus just sort of tells him, soon enough, I will bring you to them.
Yeah, I will reunite you with them.
Yes, very specific in his language. But Klaus is still toying with Elijah.
Yeah. I love Klaus.
I know.
I love Klaus covered in dirt, looking all roughed up. It's such a good look for him.
Like, it was giving me when we were talking about Mason having the dirt. I was like,
yeah, we love a dirty man apparently. Something I wouldn't have realized before this podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, Joseph Morgan is such perfect casting for a werewolf vampire.
Yeah.
It's so like funny to think about, but like to me, he does look like both. Like he has like the roughness of a werewolf and like the sort of, I don't know, like classy, above it all vibe of a vampire. Whereas like a lot of characters, like Daniel is a good example, as Elijah is so vampire. Like
so vampire.
I have a hard time even when you think of him as like a human where he's more like rugged and whatever. I'm like, even then I wouldn't believe that man is a werewolf. He's so vampire.
No. Yeah, he's very, very vampire. Even Stefan and Damon, I'm like,
very vampire. And Tyler is very werewolf.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know how they've perfectly found like the men that fit these types of vibes, but it does.
It does. No, it does.
So yeah, I love that. Love this whole scene. Love Elijah's like brought Klaus clothes and he's like dusting off Klaus's jacket. He puts it on Klaus.
I know.
It's like I love everything happening in this scene.
It's a good little scene.
Yeah.
Less good. We see Alaric is at the Mystic Grove, and as soon as this scene came on, I like audibly said, "Ugh."
I know this plot.
Unfortunately, we've started Alaric's like
drunk era.
Yeah, drunk uncle that you don't want at like a family function.
Yeah,
that era. And he's like grabbing a whole bottle of alcohol from the bartender.
Yeah,
and,
she like tries to fill his glass and he takes the whole bottle.
He's clearly like giving her a hard time. Again, the uncle you don't like want to take out. Like and he starts to walk away and then his phone rings and it's Stefan. And of course at first Alaric is very upset. He's like, I'm not operating since I wasn't allowed to come help Jenna. Just like,
yeah,
he's obviously very upset about that whole situation. And Stefan just cuts the chase. He's like, Damon's dying.
Yeah.
And
knocks him out of that.
Yeah, it immediately brings Alaric back. Like, he starts to take a drink while Stefan is saying that, and he immediately, like, puts the bottle down.
Mm-hmm.
And Alaric is also just, like, immediately, what do you need me to do?
Yeah.
Like, very clearly.
Yeah, snaps back into operating mode pretty quickly.
Like, okay, I guess I can put off my grief for one more day.
Yeah. Yeah, again, I agree that it's such a bad Alaric arc. Obviously, like, you hate to see it. And I love when he's, like, the happy dad uncle type rather than, like, this, alcoholic type.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Damon thing has totally pulled him out of that for now.
Yeah.
And speaking of people pulling out of funks, at the town square, we see a banner reading, Movie in the Square presents Gone with the Wind. And you see, like, girls, like, dressed up in, like, 1800s, like, gowns.
Yeah.
And, like, obviously, like, there's this huge event going on. And we see Jeremy and Elena, like, walking through the park, and they're kind of talking about how they need a distraction, and they need to get out of the house, and basically they, like, need to keep living life and getting up every day until, like, one day it's just not as hard. Yeah. So, clearly they're going to, like, this little movie night thing to... to just, like, have something to do. A distraction. A 3-hour distraction. A good long movie to distract
Yeah, a good solid long movie to be distracted by. And it's cute. They're, like, laying out a little blanket, and then Caroline comes up and she has a picnic basket. So it's like a little thing. Yeah. And of course, Caroline is being her classic Caroline self. She's like giving them a pep talk, basically. Yeah. She's like, my mom knows I'm a vampire. Jenna just died, but let's persevere. Let's be like...
Take a page from Scarlet.
Yeah, Atlanta has burned. Like, let's.
Yeah, which I was like, first of all, Caroline, like, we are
I was
not...
like, this is kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's like, we're not equating Jenna dying and them having to participate in a sacrifice to your mom finding out you're a vampire again.
Yeah, I was like, oh, Caroline.
I get it. That's a big deal. And I hate to hate on Caroline because I love Caroline. And so I blame the writers.
I'm like, yes,
I'm like, this is not Caroline.
I know. But like, this doesn't fit.
Yeah, she's like, I know you guys went through hell and back, and my mom knows I'm a vampire, so Atlanta is burned. I was like, girl, these situations are not... So not the same.
Not even close to being the same.
But she's like, and we'll still persevere. So I'm like, she got back around to where she needed to get there. Yeah. So yes, Caroline, though, I do like appreciate in the scene for them because I feel like she's exactly what Jeremy and Elena need in this moment. Definitely. To just be like, like we're gonna watch this movie and we're gonna get through it and everything will be fine, and brings them food and like it's those little things that matter. And I feel like Caroline's what they need, even if she's being a little self-absorbed in this whole season for some reason.
Yeah, no, it works. She's doing her best. She's still a 17-year-old girl.
Yeah. Speaking of doing their best and only a 17-year-old girl,
actually, my God.
At the old witch house, Stefan has looped in Bonnie, who now has to like figure out how to save Damon's life from a werewolf bite that's presumably incurable. So
I know, they're exhausting Bonnie. They're like, she's our one resource. We are going to use her to death.
Yeah, especially now that she's got this witch house that gives her so much power. Yeah. And it's also surprising that Bonnie even wants to try to help Damon in this moment. I'm like, cool, good. Yeah. How the tables have turned.
I know. I was thinking that too. I'm like, Team Damon, rise up, like you said in another episode. Yeah, she's fully here for Damon. And so, Bonnie does try to like contact Emily / the rest of the witches to find this cure. So she starts doing a spell, the candles start burning. Yeah. The classic witch house vibes.
And they're all whispering.
Yeah, including all of the whispering and everything, which of course is like, I don't know, I feel like we've associated that with not necessarily a good sign in this house. And suddenly like Bonnie sort of comes to, and Stefan is like, Bonnie? And Emily is like, Emily has possessed her. Yeah. Love a good possession. Poor Bonnie. She's been possessed twice now by Emily. And she basically, starts talking to Stefan. Emily does, through Bonnie. Mm-hmm. And saying, basically she doesn't want to help because it's Damon. Maybe it's his time to die. Yeah. On and on. And I have to say, I was like a guy watching like sports. I was standing up watching my TV. I was like, is this a voiceover or is it actually like Kat Graham somehow doing this voice perfectly? Yeah. It is a voiceover, but it's executed so well. Like, Kat Graham is perfectly mouthing the words. It's so good.
I know. And there's something about the actress Bianca Lawson who plays Emily and Kat Graham's voices that are just like, I can see how they're just similar enough that it's like, is it actually catch. She somehow tapped into that, and it's like, no, it's so clearly Emily's that it like has to be her. But yeah, it's so perfect. I love that effect. So well. It works so well for possession. I almost wish they'd done that for like Klaus and Alaric's body or something. That would be funny.
Yeah, even just for like a few scenes where he's, you know, actually just being himself.
That's true. Yeah, but I do like for the witches, it makes sense that like, the possession works a little bit differently. So yeah, I really like this one. Yeah, and I also like that the witches are like, we'll talk to Stefan, but Damon's not even allowed to step a single foot into this house.
I know, as if Stefan hasn't done everything Damon has done and worse.
Yeah. So yeah, they're biased. They like Damon or they like Stefan and not Damon.
Yeah.
But while Emily is talking to Stefan about how, Emily doesn't want to help, she's not going to do anything, Bonnie suddenly like returns to her body, and she says that she heard the witches say a name, like while, you know, that was all happening. And of course the name was Klaus.
Of course
it's got to be Klaus. Everything comes back to Klaus.
Yeah. Gotta reunite Stefan and Klaus somehow.
Yeah, obviously. The witches also ship it.
Yeah, so true.
A pair that I don't ship. What a segue.
These broads
at the sheriff's office.
Oh my god. Carol struts into the I guess the
sheriff's office.
Yeah, the sheriff's office. She's looking very mayoral. She's got her pearls. She looks like she borrowed Caroline's Jackie O. Like
with her arm in a sling.
Sling. Like, the show is ridiculous sometimes. But anyway, Carol goes into Liz's office. They kind of make small talk, talking about the arm. And they reuse the phrasing, it was a terrible fall, which I just thought was interesting.
Yeah.
But I think it's Liz who says it this time.
Interesting.
It was interesting. But Carol comes in, she's basically like, let's get back to killing vampires. I've recovered. Yeah. And she's not happy with Liz's way of handling things. And Carol threatens, like, if you don't like start handling this, I'm gonna find someone else who will.
Yeah. AKA, you're gonna lose your job if you don't make some moves right now.
Yeah. Okay, Carol. So this obviously sends Liz into like, let's kill some vampires.
Yeah, it's such a funny scene because, like, starting off the bat with Carol with her arm just in a sling. She was thrown down a flight of stairs, but cool, she only has a broken arm.
Yeah.
Also, Carol's eyes were the bluest eyes I'd ever seen in my life in this scene. I was like, this is giving 1940s Technicolor Bing Crosby. Like, she is so blue eyes. I was like, it's enhancing the craziness. Like, it really is.
I gotta look this up after.
It was so funny. Good. But so these two are being crazy, and obviously Carol is forcing Liz to make some vampire moves. So we're gonna follow up on that because obviously that's not gonna stop right there.
Yeah. Oh, of course not. Yeah, this is gonna be the whole plot of the episode, basically.
Yeah.
Of course, back in the town square, we see, you know, Elena, Jeremy, and Caroline are still watching the movie, and Stefan arrives and asks Elena to take a walk with him. And of course, Sheila goes up to take a walk with him. And I have to say, I noticed in this scene, they do like a close-up on Elena's face. I love her like no makeup look.
Yeah.
I'm like, it makes so much sense for where her character is at.
Yeah.
Like, and also it's, I don't know, to me, it's a big contrast between like Elena's usual like
false lashes.
Yeah, false lashes, smoky eye. Yeah, and I was like, also Nina's just so naturally beautiful. It's like, this is a good reason to just let her
really
be. I mean, she still has makeup, but like...
No, I thought the same thing. I was like, if this were me, I would not be wearing a drop of makeup.
Exactly, yeah.
She's brave for putting on jeans. I would be like, I'm not, like...
So true. Yeah. Yeah, she looks great. But, I thought that was just like a good, subtle detail.
Yeah, it was nice.
They get it. Like, sometimes the Vampire Diaries, really, they hit the mark. Especially the makeup department.
Yeah, makeup. Yeah, and hair and everything. It's like they know how to subtly, like, lean into, you know, those things that they need to lean into. Yeah, it works really well. I thought the same thing.
Yeah, she looks great. And so anyway, they go off on their walk, Stefan and Elena. And Stefan tells Elena about Damon being bit by Tyler. And Elena quickly realizes that is obviously why Damon came to apologize to her this morning.
Yeah.
And of course, in classic Elena fashion, she immediately feels guilty for, you know, just kind of like rebuffing him and being like, I need time.
Yeah, she's like, I basically closed the door in his
face. Which so you didn't, but okay.
Yeah, she didn't. She was like, I just need some time.
Yeah, very normal. I was like, Elena, poor girl. But he is dying, so obviously this makes things, feel way more urgent and terrible. Yeah. And so they, Stefan is like, he told me not to tell you this, but of course I had to. Like, I wanted you to be able to talk to him if you wanted to. And again, I love Stefan. Sweet. Yeah. Stefan, like I said in the last episode, I think it was, Stefan's best moments are with respect to Damon. I'm like, oh, yeah, they are. Love them. But Stefan is like, Elena basically says she'll go talk to him. And Stefan says, it's not over though. I have to go to Klaus. I'm going to try to find a cure. Elena is, of course, like, no, he'll kill you. Yeah. Which Stefan like smartly points out, you know, if he wanted to kill me, he had his chance a few times.
Yeah,
he didn't. So, and Stefan goes on to say, like, I owe this to Damon. Like, anything that's brought him here was my fault because I turned him into a vampire in the first place. So I need to do this for him. And he asks Elena, like, just one last thing, like, go talk to Damon and tell him there's still hope.
Yeah, so
I was sweet. Like, I love them.
I love this arc for Stefan. He's such a sweetie.
Yeah, so someone in the comments was like, Stefan's so baby girl in late season 2, and I'm like,
he really is.
They were right. They're really right. Yeah. He is.
He won't be for long.
Not for long. Yeah, no,
but we'll enjoy it for this scene because it's the last one.
Yeah, this is our truly the last one.
Yeah, actually, pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah.
So,
anyway,
also not gonna be baby girl for a while, not doing too hot. At the Salvatore house, Damon is sitting slumped against the cellar wall. He starts immediately hallucinating. Man is not doing well at all. No way, shape, or form.
He's unwell.
So, of course, his hallucinations are going to take him to the 1864 Salvatore house, where he sees Katherine sitting at a dresser getting ready. I love a Katherine 1864 look. I was like, thank God they keep finding ways to give us these because I love them.
I know.
And Damon is looking through the crack in the door because it's just open a little bit, and he's watching her. And she's all like, you know, oh, so rude. Like, come inside. Classic Katherine luring him in.
Of course.
Flirting with him.
Of course.
Just her usual. She's like, oh, I need help tying my corset strings. They're knotted. Like, oh, okay, Katherine.
Yeah, sure.
And she's flirting with him about, like, returning from war because she'll miss him. Yep. Which he's like, well, you'll have Stefan. Like, isn't that enough? And Katherine says, is it wrong for me to want you both? She's crazy.
She is wild.
I wonder how much of this is actually something that happened and how much of it is imagined.
I know. I was wondering that too. I think most of it probably really did happen.
Yeah, I think all of it did.
Yeah.
Other than, of course, what does end up happening next, which puts it all into doubt, is suddenly you see Elena, modern Elena, appear within this vision, of course out of place, and she says, don't you see, she was toying with you. All you had to do was say no, walk away. You had a choice. And so this is where it gets a little confusing of how much of this is reality, how much of this is subconscious. But I do believe that a lot of it is the reality. This is so Katherine, but I'm like, this is so awful.
I know.
Vision Elena is right. She's toying with you, Damon.
She's toying with you, yeah.
And so we see at the present day in the Salvatore house, Damon is kind of coming back to reality, back to his being trapped in the cell reality, and he like sees that he's still in the cellar.
Yeah.
And he also looks at his bite and sees that like it's getting much worse. Like the infection is getting a lot bigger. It's definitely growing quick now.
Yeah.
So not looking too good.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Also not looking great. Stefan just irreparably changed his whole life's trajectory, basically.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, Stefan shows up at Alaric's apartment, which again is still somehow Klaus's like home base.
Yeah.
Which it makes sense because we see Katherine is there. And Katherine asks, why am I not free of Klaus's compulsion yet? So of course she's still there. And Stefan is like, doesn't matter. There were some complications, like whatever. He obviously doesn't have time to just talk with Katherine. And Stefan asks, where is he? And right at this point, Klaus and Elijah return, and there's like a little bit of like small talk. Klaus is like, you just keep popping up. Klaus in his mind is like, oh, thank God.
He's like, my crush is here.
Thank God. Yeah. And Stefan just straight up asks him like, I need you to help me help my brother. And Klaus says, it'll have to wait a tick because he has his own obligation to his own brother that he needs to tend to. I love this whole scene.
I love him.
Yeah. At this point, Klaus like kind of goes out of frame, and Elijah turns to Stefan and is like, if you're here, you understand the importance of family. So I'm sure you understand like what I had to do.
Yeah.
And Elijah says, my brother gave me his word that he would reunite me with my own family. And Klaus steps back in and says, "And so I shall," and daggers Elijah.
Classic Klaus. Classic.
I love him. He's an icon for this.
What a funny thing. He kept his word.
He
Elijah
did.
will be with his family now.
I know. I'm like, Elijah is like the king of the clever worded giving the word. But I'm like, he should have seen this coming.
He should have seen this coming.
Brilliant.
Why would you turn your back on Klaus? Literally, I've been standing up against a wall being like, don't come near me, Klaus.
Yeah, no. I don't know what Elijah was thinking, just trusting him. But yeah.
It's just desperate, I guess. I don't know. I think also he just realistically didn't want to kill his brother. So, like...
Of course. Oh, yeah.
No. I don't know. There's so much to it. Those two have such a long, deep relationship, which I'm so excited to get into for season 3. But, of course, that was our last look at Elijah for season 2.
Yeah.
And for a while in season 3.
And for a little while in season 3, yeah.
So, so no more Elijah. He's dead. Klaus, or Stefan and Katherine are both just, like, shocked, standing there watching this all go down. And of course then Klaus turns his attention to Stefan pinning him against the wall.
Yep.
Am I the only one who thought this scene had a little bit of tension? It was a little bit like all the sexual tension. I was like, he had to pin him against the wall like that.
I know. It's like, oh my gosh. Yeah, they're doing something here.
These two with the vibes are strong. Until, of course, we cut back from the obvious commercial break that was there, because then suddenly he's just stabbing Stefan in the stomach. And, you know, this is where he's, like, getting more into it of, like, make me a deal. Like, just give me the cure and I'll do whatever you want. This is Stefan being like, please, Klaus, like, I need this. And Klaus, man with a plan that he is, he pulls out the stake from Stefan and says, trouble is, I just don't know if you'd be any good to me the way you are now. You're just shy of useless. Clearly setting up where, you know,
it's all gonna go downhill fast.
Klaus has a plan. He knows where he wants Stefan, and it's already worked out perfectly that he's got Stefan right where he wants him. So it's all working out. It's all working out Klaus's way.
Oh yeah. Klaus always gets his way.
Yeah.
Not getting his way.
Yeah.
Yeah, not
Two
getting
people who
his
never
way.
get it their way, actually.
Yeah, honestly true. Yeah, both of them. Alaric has shown up at the cellar while Damon is looking at the werewolf bite on his arm, which again it's just like clearly getting worse throughout the whole episode. And Alaric shows up and Damon tells him his subconscious is haunting him, and he asks Alaric if he has anything for that. And Alaric is like, double shot. Of course.
Those two's answer to everything.
Yeah. Just drink the problems away.
Always.
Of course, Alaric has brought this. And Damon, obviously, you know, feeling low. Damon always is like this when he's, like, feeling bad.
Antagonizing.
He's antagonizing. He's like, I want you to hate me too. And he's telling Alaric, like, you know, you should want me dead because of what happened to Jenna.
Yeah, I'm the reason Jenna got killed.
Exactly. Damon feels obviously very guilty for what happened to Jenna. And Alaric says he doesn't blame him for Jenna. He, you know, obviously someone was going to die no matter what. Yeah. And I think Alaric gets that.
Yeah, and Klaus was going to take somebody, you know, with or without intervention. Like, that wasn't controlled by Damon at all.
Exactly. Yeah, it was Jenna or Caroline and Tyler, which Caroline and Tyler would have affected Alaric less. But, like, no matter what, he knows it was not going to end well. And, of course, Damon still goads him. He's like, well, let's not forget what happened with Isabel.
I turned your wife.
Yeah, I turned her into a vampire. And of course, at this point, Alaric pours another drink, and he's like, neither of us is drunk enough for this conversation. Yeah. Like, here you go. And at this point, Damon, like, goes to take the drink, and he, like, vamp speeds over to Alaric and chokes him through the bars of the door of the cellar. Yeah. And is like, kill me. Like, please kill me.
Yeah, and Alaric answers with, screw you, and then injects Damon with vervain.
Love that.
Just, like, knocking him out to the ground.
Yeah.
And even in Damon's delusional, like, drug state, he calls out for Elena. He says, Elena. And Alaric says, Elena's not here, Damon. Oh, so sad. It's so sweet that he, like, really wants him, but then, or her. But then, of course, we do see Elena is actually there. She pulls up outside, and she's walking to the front door when she, like, kind of hears something, obviously can sense there's somebody there. Yeah. And she starts looking around, and she turns back around, and suddenly Liz is just in front of her, Sheriff Forbes, and she just puts a hand over Elena's mouth and, like, tells her to be quiet or something.
Yeah, she's like, don't make a sound.
Yeah. What? Crazy.
Why? Like, why does this need to be done with Elena? Like, Elena is I mean, Liz is also human, but Elena is human. Like, she doesn't really need to be, like, taken out of the equation. No. I don't understand what...
I don't know. I guess because
the reason is here.
She could warn Damon, and I don't know. They need the element of surprise to pull this off, theoretically, which they definitely still wouldn't have. But okay.
I guess. I don't know.
So yes, we see downstairs. Damon tells Alaric that he needs blood, so Alaric goes off to go to the cooler to get more blood. And at this point now, Sheriff Liz and her deputies have arrived looking for Damon, and they're like. They go in and Liz talks to Alaric for a second and he's like, he's not feeling well. Like, don't go in there. Like, don't do it. This is not the time. And of course, Liz locks Alaric in whatever like little room he's in the basement, trapping him. And of course, they find the cellar door and they go right in, guns at the ready. But
Alaric is still at this point like, don't go in there.
Yeah, he's like yelling. Yeah. the door, like, stop. Like, don't. He's not well.
Also, as they start to like go in, like they look through the bars of the cellar door, Damon is face down in the dirt.
He looks dead.
He looks so unwell. Why would you, as Liz, not go to Alaric and be like, hey, why is he?
He's already locked up. Let's talk about it. Like,
talk through the bars. What?
These literal idiots. They're go
so
in.
Dumb.
And Liz is going in like, Damon, we need to talk to you. And Damon, of course, gets up, vamp speeds, and like hides so that when Liz actually gets in, she can't see him. And then he grabs her and throws her at the wall, knocking her out, and he just runs away. Obviously,
of course, obviously, she's so dumb. This is such a bad Liz episode.
This is an awful Liz episode. They made her look like an absolute idiot. Like, how dumb do you have to be? He's already locked up. If you need to ask him questions, ask him through the door.
Yeah, what
is wrong with that?
Also, he looks dead. I don't know.
And everyone's yelling about how he's sick, he's ill. Like, use that to your advantage, Liz. Don't just set him free.
Oh my God, she's insane.
It's literally crazy. So from there, we'll cut to the town square where Caroline, Bonnie, and Jeremy are watching Gone with the Wind on the big screen. They've got like a projector. It's like a cute movie night thing, but I'm also like, Gone with the Wind.
Yeah. Great. Kind of random. It's the South. I feel like it fits.
Yeah, but it's Virginia. I feel like they should have just set the show in Georgia. They lean into the Georgia stuff all the time. It's so obvious that they film in Georgia.
I know.
They should have just made Mystic Falls in Georgia, but
probably
that's besides the point. So anyway, the three of them are just still sitting there sticking it out, attempting to watch this movie despite the fact that everything is going crazy. And they're like literally just sitting waiting for news, which is what Caroline finally says. She's like, all this waiting around for news is really ruining Scarlet for me. Because like,
obviously.
How can you enjoy it when this is going on? Finally, Jeremy gets a call from Alaric revealing that Damon is just on the loose. And also he mentions that Damon is looking for Elena. But everyone is confused because Elena was headed to the Salvatore house to go see Damon. So, like, she didn't make it there. They're, like, all confused. Where's Elena? Where's Damon? What's going on? And so, they all jump to action to go on the lookout for both of them. But Bonnie stops Jeremy saying, like, if Damon's off the rails, then there's nothing that you can do to stop him. So just let us take care of it. Which Jeremy's obviously like, Bonnie, not happy with that. He says, you keep doing this, which I'm making fun, but also this next line is actually very like real. He's like, you left me behind before, and guess what? Jenna still died. Which Caroline makes a face at of obviously like sympathy towards that.
Of course.
And he says like, now I'm going to find my sister. You go ahead and you try to stop me. So it's like a little bit of a funny, sassy thing, but you're also like, I really feel so bad for him. That is so awful.
Well, I know. And he probably thinks, like Elena could be in danger. She's literally all he has left.
Yeah. There's no way he can just sit idly by.
Yeah, no.
So, so he just goes for it, which I get why Bonnie tries to stop him. Like, yeah, he is human and like there's not much he can do. He does have the Gilbert ring though. So like if Damon did something, like he'd probably be
okay. Yeah.
Of course, that's not what happens. We'll get around to that eventually.
Oh my God.
But anyway, I think it makes sense to let Jeremy at least look for Elena. Like, there's no harm. Even if he saw Damon, just text him. Be like, he's here. Like, I don't know. It's like,
exactly.
It's fine. But anyway, he's going to go off looking. They're going to go off looking. We'll see when we see them again where that lands. But for now, we got to check back in at Alaric's apartment where Stefan is on the floor and Klaus has a glass of blood in his hands and he crouches down to speak to Stefan and Katherine's like just watching them and Klaus gives this whole great line, this great moment.
Love.
He said, I heard about this one vampire, crazy bloke, always on and off the wagon for decades. When he was off, he was magnificent. I love Klaus. Him. so funny for this. He says, 1917, he went into Monterey and wiped out an entire migrant village. A true Rippah. Sound familiar? Snaps. Love.
Chef's kiss.
Oh my God. Klaus. First, Klaus, Rippah. We've heard Rippah before from Lexi, but obviously our namesake is Rippah. It is the Klaus.
Of course, Klaus.
Rippah.
Yeah.
And yeah. Also love that it's in the same sentence as the Ripper of Monterey, which is an iconic title. Yeah. What a thing to be called. I love it.
I have been waiting for this lore for so long. Like, I do really think there's so much interesting with Stefan's Ripper past. I'm like, the story of the Ripper of Monterey, I always forget that it doesn't come up until now. Like,
I know. It feels so ingrained to him.
Yeah, it's so iconic. I mean, in a bad way, but still. It's kind of iconic.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just so Stefan that I'm like,
yeah.
He doesn't feel complete until we get this bit of lore. This and then the thing in season 3.
Yeah, and we talked about this a little bit in season 1, I think, about how it's kind of weird how they're like, yeah, he has a problem with blood, but they don't exactly seem sure that they're going to make him like a Ripper. Like, it's not until this episode and then season 3 where they decide to actually flesh out how much of a Ripper Stefan is, how much of a problem he has with blood.
Yeah.
And I love when we get that part of him. So excited Klaus drops that iconic line about the Ripper of Monterey and being a Rippah. And yeah, Stefan is like, that's not me anymore. This is a response to this. But Klaus is like, well, that's the only vampire I'm willing to make a deal with. So yeah, you want to save your brother, you gotta be that vampire. Is basically what he's getting to here.
Yeah.
And to show Stefan how good Klaus is for this deal, he makes Katherine come over. He does his like werewolf face, and he bites Katherine, and we see that it is the classic looking infected werewolf bite. And Katherine's like freaking out, like realizing it's a werewolf bite. Yeah. And then Klaus bites his wrist, and he gives Katherine his blood, and we see the wound immediately heal, and she's like back to normal, all good, proving that Klaus's blood is the cure for a werewolf bite. Which, what a perfect solution!
I know.
I love that.
Klaus goes like, gotta love Mother Nature, and I'm like, I do actually. Like, this makes so much sense. Like, that his blood would be the cure. Like,
yeah, as a balance between werewolf and vampire. It's such brilliant. A perfect thing from the writers here. And it's perfect for a story element, too, of, like, giving Klaus that power over other people. That is such a big bargaining chip.
Huge.
Stays a big bargaining chip throughout Klaus's whole, like, story arc.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because it's just such a powerful thing to have, and obviously is going to be in this scene to make a deal with Stefan.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've always liked that.
I know.
And so, yeah. So much to say here. Klaus is so psycho, first of all, for making Stefan become the Ripper of Monterey again in order to make a deal. I know. What a tactic.
I know. He's wild. He's like, oh, the only Stefan I can work with is the one that slaughtered people. Like,
yeah. Yeah, otherwise you're useless. You have no benefits.
Yeah, he's wild.
Yeah, and I love that, like, Katherine just has to be here for all this. I know. She gets used as, like, as a Klaus's little tool to show that the werewolf bite works, which is also such a smart tactic to have Klaus prove to Stefan. Like, this is undeniable proof of how valuable this deal is to you, and also how, like, I'm the only one that can give it to you. It's literally my blood. Do you think there's any other way to cure a werewolf bite? Yeah. No. So clearly it's putting Klaus in this big power of, like, or this big position of power, and like making this like such an undeniable deal for Stefan. Yeah. So I love this scene.
It's so good. Like, I know.
What a perfect setup.
Yeah, I love that he bites Katherine. I love her react. It's so well done. I love the story, as we already talked about. Yeah.
So great.
So well done. Well, we'll get to there, but for now, this story goes worse. But we see Damon is wandering through the town square, hacking up a log. He is so sick. Yeah. And he like turns toward the Gone with the Wind projection screen, and he sees Katherine in like a very clearly 1864 purple dress. And she's just sort of like, you know, like preening or something. She's just standing there. And Damon is like, Katherine? Yeah. And at this point, Jeremy finds Damon in the present. Katherine sort of goes away, the image of her. And Damon asks Jeremy if he can go to see Elena. He needs to see Elena. And Jeremy is like, sure, but let's get you out of here first. Like, this isn't good. Yeah. Yeah. And Damon is stumbling, and he puts his arm around Jeremy, and Jeremy helps him get away.
Which I will say on the front of things being well done, I do think, like, Gone with the Wind, we talked about already, a little bit of a funny choice in some ways, but also such a perfect choice in the fact that it is a film set when they were humans. It's about, like, the Civil War, about the 1860s specifically. And, like, having a movie night of that while Damon's hallucinating. And also, I think at this point when he's, like, running around or a little bit later, it's when the scene when Elena is on fire. And something about having the big fire in the background while he's, like, sweating and hot.
Yeah.
And, like, it adds to the craziness.
Yeah.
It adds to the hallucinations, the blur between the reality and the 1860s. I'm like, such a good choice in terms of, like, the story they're trying to tell here.
Yeah. No, I thought that, too, because I watched this episode a second time. And I noticed there are people dressed up in, like, the 1860s, like, outfits.
Yeah.
Which also, we've talked about this before. I noticed those looked very costumey.
Yes.
So I was like, the costume design, like, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, because Catherine's doesn't.
Yeah, and Catherine's doesn't. But it's like, that definitely adds so much to blur the lines.
Yeah.
Like, killed it on all fronts.
Yeah, it is a great choice.
It really is.
So Jeremy's lucked out finding Damon, and he's going to get him to safety now. Not in safety, is at the sheriff's office. Elena is locked up in the sheriff's office where, like, Liz comes in and Elena, like, starts asking about Damon and, like, where he is and what they're doing. And Liz is like, why do you even care? Like, they're all murderers.
Oh, my God.
She's going off on the topic. How interesting. How ironic.
Murderers. What an interesting choice of words.
Yeah, what an interesting choice of words. Foreshadowing, maybe? I don't know. Yeah. Interesting thought there.
Yeah.
Liz caring so much about people being murderers.
Yeah.
Anyway, a deputy appears and tells Liz that Damon Salvatore was just spotted going into the grill. And so Elena, like, is trying to quickly, like, say, like, that Damon's sick, like, she needs to come. But Liz is obviously like, no. And she says to the deputy, like, keep her here. So, of course, Elena is just going to continue to be locked up in the sheriff's office for a little bit longer. But unfortunately, Liz is hot on the trail of Damon at the grill.
Oh, my God. Yeah, which I guess the sheriff's office or, like, the police department must be right next to the grill, which I thought they were close.
Yeah.
But it must be next door.
It is. I've seen in the wide shots where the building they use as the sheriff's office is, like, across the street from the grill.
Okay, good. That makes sense because Liz is on the scene instantly.
Yes.
But first, for now, we see Jeremy bringing in Damon into the grill. Like, they're just arriving, it looks like. And Jeremy is calling someone to tell them that he's at the grill and he's got Damon.
Yep.
When suddenly, like, Damon sort of hears a noise. Obviously, he has, like, the vamp hearing. And he turns around to see who it is. And it's Liz, guns ablazing. Like, she already walked in, guns out. And she immediately, like, sees Damon and fires. But, of course, you know, like, Damon not thinking straight and also not wanting to die because she probably has wooden bullets. Like, vamp speeds out of the way. And she just shoots Jeremy.
Yeah. Yeah, Damon,
right in the chest.
Yeah, Damon was standing right in front of Jeremy when he moved. That left Jeremy just standing there, not even paying attention.
Yeah.
Be literally bullet square to the chest.
Yeah.
We talk about Matt shoot first, ask questions later. Donovan. What about Sheriff Liz shoot first, ask questions later, kill a teenage boy Forbes? Like, what the heck?
She is insane. I was like, I forgot that this happened in this episode too. My jaw hit the floor. I was like, oh my God, I forgot she does this.
I know. I don't know what she was thinking. But obviously the J names are cursed. Jenna, John, Jeremy, all in one fell swoop. Like,
oh my God. It's not looking good for the J Gilbert. Like,
no, it's not. It's not. No. So Jeremy obviously falls to the ground dead. Yeah. And Liz freaks out immediately, like putting her gun back in the holster, running up to him. And she immediately starts calling into her radio, like asking for paramedics, saying that there's a gunshot victim.
Yeah.
And he's clearly bleeding out. Like, despite her saying to him, you're okay, you're gonna be fine. Yeah. Like, he's clearly dying.
Yeah, I don't think he's quite dead yet in this second.
He's not, but he definitely is dying.
I mean, he was shot in the chest. Like, obviously, it's not going to be good.
Yeah, and at that time, Bonnie and Caroline immediately show up, rushing over. And they realize, what's going on. And they realize that even with the Gilbert ring, Jeremy will die because Liz is human. It will only work which they should have realized and had Caroline kill him real fast, but they didn't think of that.
I don't think there was even time.
I think he might have already been dead.
Yeah, I think by the time Caroline and Bonnie get there, he's dead.
Yeah, which again, what happens next is Caroline tries to then give him vampire blood to heal him, but it doesn't work because by that point he's definitely already dead. If they'd realized immediately, maybe there would have been a split second, but even then it's like no, the vampire blood was not going to work anymore. Alaric shows up right at this time and rushes over too. And I love the way he delivers his line when he realizes is just, oh my God.
Yeah.
Just the way he says that, oh my God, is so shocked, so devastated, just so in disbelief that I was like, again, good actors can like do so much with just nothing. Like, oh my God, it's just a whatever line.
Yeah, just a line, yeah.
But something about the way he said it like really stuck with me. And,
yeah, no,
like,
I thought
made
the same.
you realize like how awful this moment was. And so Bonnie is the only one that like really can leap into action here. She takes over. Always saving the day, Bonnie. And she says, like, I know what I need to do. And she tells Alaric to grab his body to take Jeremy with them. And Liz is like, you can't move him. This is a crime scene. Caroline's like, Mom, stop.
Let him go.
Yeah, let them go. And Alaric picks up Jeremy's body and they leave off to go try to save him.
Yeah. Yeah.
What a scene. Like, what a crazy scene. I will never get over Liz shooting Jeremy.
Oh my God. I mean, this is giving it away. Maybe I should save it, but I'll just say it. What would Liz have done if they could not bring Jeremy back to life? Like, this is so bad.
She would have had to go to jail.
Yeah. Literally, she does say this is a crime scene. Yeah. She just straight up shot him.
Yeah.
That would have been so bad. Also, without telling everyone about vampires, how could she possibly explain how she just point blank shot this teenager?
Because also something we didn't mention is the grill is closed. There's nobody in there. It is closed. Don't know how Jeremy and Damon even got in there in the first place, but it is closed. It is empty. So if the sheriff just shot a teenage boy in the grill that was completely empty, like on a movie night, like everything about this would just be so bad.
Yeah. No, it's terrible.
Yeah.
There's...
It's so much to say, but also nothing to say because it's so crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Also going a little crazy.
Yeah.
We cut to like a very quick scene of Elena, like, you know, kind of in Liz's office, still like imprisoned there basically.
Yeah.
And she's trying to find a way out, and she eventually like opens the shutters to a window and just grabs a chair and throws it through the window.
Yeah, breaks the whole window. How nobody immediately runs in, don't know.
I know.
Yeah, what a convict move, freeing herself from the police station. But she gets out, and she has been set loose now to go look for Damon and try to figure out what's going on with everybody.
Yeah, exactly. So Elena's out. We'll come back to them. But first we see Klaus is like gripping a blade, like some sort of knife.
Yeah.
And the blood is like, you know, sort of siphoning down into a little vial. Stefan is, of course, watching this. And Klaus basically says he wants to trade his blood for Stefan going on a decade-long bender.
Yeah.
Because Klaus, has big plans for Stefan.
Yeah.
And Stefan, again, is like, this isn't me anymore. That's not me. And Klaus, like, you know, of course, he knows, like, this is so important to Stefan.
Yeah.
He starts to dump the vial of his blood into the sink, and Stefan is like, wait.
Yeah, stops him.
Yeah, stop.
Oh, Klaus knows
he's
got Stefan pinned right here.
Yeah.
And so then Klaus says to Stefan, I want you to join me for a drink. And he throws a blood bag to him, and Stefan takes it. And Klaus watches while Stefan, like, just kind of gently, takes a sip from the blood bag. And it's all going downhill from here. We talked about it in the last one where, like, what is Stefan's tolerance? Like, how much can he even drink? And we've seen he can do, like, one blood bag. So it's like, okay.
Yeah.
We're good for now. I love that Katherine, again, is just witnessing this whole thing. She's just sitting there watching. And, of course, like we said, what is Stefan's tolerance? Because one is okay, but Klaus says, finish it. All of it.
Yep.
You do everything I say, and then you save your brother. That's the deal. Mm-hmm. So Stefan, of course, finishes that blood bag, and Klaus gives him another one and says, again. And Stefan drinks again. So not looking too good for old Steph over there. He's
goodbye, baby girl.
Goodbye, baby girl. Hello, Rippah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the vibe. Then we see at the old witch house, downstairs, Alaric lays Jeremy's body down on the floor. Man is dead. Literally dead.
Yeah, fully.
Bonnie says that it is possible to bring him back to life if the witches will give her the power to do the spell. Mm-hmm. And so Bonnie sits down. She has Jeremy's head, like, in her lap, like, on her legs. And she starts trying to do the spell. She's, like, chanting. Mm-hmm. The voices of the spirits are whispering. And then suddenly Bonnie says, no. Clearly they don't want to help. And Bonnie explains to Alaric that the witches are angry at her for coming back. And she says they don't want to help. And Alaric's basically like, screw the witches. Yeah. He's a kid.
Yeah, I will say it's a good Alaric episode. He's like,
yeah, except that drunk moment at the top. He's good now.
Yeah, he's like, tell him to shut up. He's a kid.
Yeah, he's a kid. Literally, bring him back to life.
No, he's right.
He is right. And so Bonnie says that the witches say that there will be consequences. We will see about that later. But yeah, they don't mention what those consequences are, just that there will be some. And so Bonnie starts trying to do the spell again. It's getting way more intense. The building is like shaking. The voices are getting louder, all of those whispers. Bonnie is crying. Her nose is like really heavily bleeding. The girl is like falling apart basically. Whether from channeling that much magic or what, I'm not really sure, but she is like, it is a lot, obviously. She is bringing someone back from the dead, so makes sense. I'm sure
it's also emotional, which she gets to.
Exactly. And so, because Bonnie is pleading to the witches now, like, she stops chanting to openly say, specifically to Emily, like, please help me. And she says, I love him. And suddenly, the whispering stops. The candles all go out. She said the magic words, I suppose.
Basically, yeah.
I love him.
Clever. The magic words.
Yeah, the magic words. Yeah, she loves him. She's willing to risk the consequences to do anything to bring him back. And Bonnie doesn't realize, so she says no. She screams out and she starts crying over Jeremy's body. Alaric is on the sides looking so concerned, so devastated. And I was getting a little teary-eyed at this point for Bonnie here. Like, I was like, she was holding Jeremy's dead body and pleading to the witches. I was like so emotional. And then suddenly Jeremy wakes up and everybody's crying and Bonnie like raises her head and she says a thank you to the witches. She's got the blood still all over her face. And he's alive now. What the consequences will be, we will see. But
we'll find out.
But I do have one question. Did the revival spell remove the bullet from Jeremy's chest, or will that forever be there? Because I was like, that's going to be a problem, like in TSA and stuff. Like, if you ever go to the airport, they're like, how is there a bullet in your heart and you're alive?
I have to assume it, like, was a through and through, as they say.
Oh, yeah.
I have to assume it's just not there anymore. I don't know.
That makes sense. I was going to say, otherwise, I'm like, I can't imagine the witches are, like, extracting it from his heart.
They should have done that. They should have shown it, like, sucking out of his body.
That would have been so funny. But definitely would have ruined the emotional moment.
I know.
But I just need that clarity personally.
I know. It would have been good. I know. I think that with a lot of injuries, when people die, I'm like,
I want more answers.
Here?
Yeah, I need to know a little bit more.
Yeah. But anyway, I love the scene. Also, a less good Alaric moment. He looks so relieved. Like, it's so visible when Jeremy comes back to life.
Yeah, again, he is such like a parental uncle type figure for Jeremy specifically, but also for Elena. And so, it obviously means so much for him to see. I'm sure he couldn't have gone through Jeremy dying.
Oh my God. Yeah, that would have been impossible.
Yeah, he and Elena both would have just been.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what they would have done with their lives after that. There's like no coming back.
No.
But yes, so speaking of Elena, at the town square, we see Elena is out and about, free as a bird.
She's running around
from the sheriff's office. She's running around looking for Damon, and she hears from behind her Elena, and she turns around and sees Damon is standing there, sweaty, clearly ill.
Oh my God, yeah.
The man is not doing well at all. And Elena runs over and grabs him, saying like that they have to get him out of there, like they need to go hide him. And Damon asks like, where are we going? But it isn't Elena who answers. Cut to 1864 in the woods.
Yeah.
And Damon is running around, running after Katherine, who is carrying a torch. And she answers the question, and she says, everywhere.
She's always making a guy.
She's always making men chase her through some sort of
She's sick
wooded.
for this.
She's so funny.
Yeah.
And so Damon is asking her to, like, wait for him. He wants to be with her. He wants to go wherever with her. And human Damon is so sweet. We're like cutting back and forth between the sweet human Damon who's tripping through the woods, chasing after Katherine, to the modern Damon who's being pulled along by Elena, obviously sweaty, dying. And they're mirroring like the two. Like it's lots of cutting back and forth in this scene specifically, like obviously showing how bad off Damon is, how much everything is blurring together. And we see Damon pins Katherine against a tree, and then Damon pins Elena against a lamppost, and Katherine is teasing Damon about him wanting to chase her. And Damon says that he wants to chase her forever, like he wants to be with her forever, and he asks for her blood so that they can do that. And Katherine tells him, like, if he wants it, he has to take it. She won't give it to him. And she pulls out a hairpin and she cuts her neck. And the blood starts trickling. And in the real, like, Damon, he is saying, you know, the same sorts of things to Elena. And he's saying, I choose you, Katherine, to Elena, who realizes how the girl is always getting in this situation. I don't know.
This is always that's like the werewolf curse. It's not that you hallucinate Katherine. It's happening to her all over again.
Yeah, and Elena will somehow also appear and get mixed up into all of that. So Elena's trying to shake him out of it, realize what's happening, but it's not working. Damon leans forward to drink from Katherine and also to drink from Elena, who is trying to stop him. And he says, I have to if we are to be together forever. And Damon bites Elena and is feeding on her. But suddenly he comes to and he realizes and he falls to the ground. Because Elena's like, you're hurting me, Damon. Stop. You're hurting me. And, you know, Elena crouches down and she tries to help him up. But she's also like holding her neck.
Yeah, she's still holding her neck wound.
She's actively bleeding. Yeah. But she's also trying to drag him along. Poor Elena has just gotten herself into a whole situation right here. Like, what a mess.
Yeah, she's like looking around. She's like, what am I going to do? Like, she's bleeding. Yeah. Not good. Not good, but turning around.
Yeah.
And Liz,
we're both murderers now.
Yeah. Well, exactly. I think, I'll get to it. But lots to say on Liz now being a murderer. Yeah. But anyway, Carol and Liz are still in the grill and...
Caroline. You say Carol.
I always say Carol. I always want to say Carol.
They shouldn't have people with that similar of names in the same show. It's confusing.
Yeah. I did that in another episode too, like a couple weeks ago. Yeah. Anyway. Caroline and Liz are in the grill and Caroline hangs up the phone. She was obviously talking to Bonnie or Alaric, and Caroline tells Liz that Jeremy is alive, and Liz is like, oh, thank God I didn't kill him.
Yeah, I thought I killed him.
Yeah. Caroline is like, you did kill him. And Liz says she doesn't really understand, and Caroline says, you know, I told you about this once, but I had to make you forget because I was scared of what you might do. And Caroline goes on to say, like, I don't want to be afraid of you anymore. And I don't want you, Liz, to be afraid of me. Like, I'm still your little girl. And she's obviously like saying this with more beats and everything than I'm saying. But it's very emotional, very impactful. And like eventually Liz sort of comes around and they do sort of embrace and they hug. And I think there's a big understanding.
Caroline hugs her mom. And she resists. She's like just standing there like stiff. Arms down. Yeah, like not hugging her back. And Caroline just keeps saying, it's me, Mom. And I love Liz's face here, her acting. Like you can see her like struggling and then give up and decide to hug her back. And it's like, it got me a little emotional. I like the mother-daughter relationships, and this show is does not have those. This is the only good mother-daughter relationship for the most part.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that, and I like this building of it here and accepting each other. We're both murderers. We get it.
Yeah. No, I know. I do think, and this is what I was kind of alluding to when we first started talking about the scene. As ridiculous as it is for Liz to have just shot Jeremy and for that to have been a thing that actually happens in the show, I think it is important for Liz to be able to like
100%
realize, oh, maybe I'm not as, and she also sees Caroline trying to save Jeremy. It's like, oh, maybe we're all just who we are. I don't know.
Yeah, things aren't so black and white. Everybody's gray. Everybody has moments where they make a mistake or they have bad judgment or, you know, whatever. And it's like, Liz shooting Jeremy is just as bad as Caroline ripping out the neck of a worker.
That random person.
You know, it's like, it's all just mistakes. Like, again, we shouldn't be murderers in real life, obviously, but like, it's a show. And like, that is the context here is we both killed somebody. Like, it's easier to be relatable now.
Exactly. Yeah. I can understand you more now. For sure.
Yeah. What a situation.
Oh, my God.
Speaking of situations, so we go back to the Gilbert house. Jeremy has made it home. And he goes straight to binging. Back from the dead search.
I love him.
What do you think he's going to find here? I was like, way to go, Jeremy. Like, you made it back from the dead, but I don't know what that's going to tell you.
Yeah.
Anyway, suddenly he gets a video chat. It doesn't ring. It's just open.
I know. It
just love that.
Pops up and it's Bonnie's face.
Yeah. And Jeremy tells Bonnie that he's feeling different. He feels weird. And Bonnie's like, well, you were dead, so it'd be weird if you felt normal. And he says, like, he doesn't know how to thank her, obviously. She brought him back from the dead.
Yeah, she literally raised him from the dead.
Yeah, you can't really Google, how do I thank someone who brought me back from the dead?
Yeah. Yeah, no.
Or Bing it, sorry.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah. And so Bonnie says, well, you can thank me tomorrow. And the day after that, And the day after that, and she starts really getting like giggly, and it's so cute. It's like, honestly, it's so cute that they can have a nice moment like this after what just happened. But anyway, it's a very adorable moment. And she says goodnight, Jeremy, and she hangs up, and it's very sweet. And then Alaric comes to the door, and he says to Jeremy that he's going to take off, and Jeremy, like, will Jeremy be okay? Does he need anything? And Jeremy's like, yeah, I'm good. And Alaric, like, immediately changes his mind. Like, you can see as he's saying he's going to leave that he's, like, hesitating about it.
Yeah, because there's, like, a moment where it's just, like, silence. And obviously Jeremy looks kind of, like, not, like, sad, but he just kind of looks like,
he's going to be there alone.
He's going to be there all alone,
Yeah, so, and he's not going to ask Alaric to stay.
No, of course not.
He's, you know, the classic teenage boy who's like, yeah, I can be home alone. Like, I don't want to look weak.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he doesn't say anything, but then Alaric immediately changes his mind. He's actually like, maybe I'll crash here. Like, I'll stay the night if that's okay. Jeremy's like, yeah, that's fine, man, whatever. And then Jeremy, like, Alaric goes to walk away, and then Jeremy stops him and says, and thanks for everything. Again, another person who saved his life today.
Yeah, that's true. Alaric did play a big role in saving his life.
Had to carry his body to and from. And so Alaric immediately jumps into imitating Bonnie and says, well, you can thank me tomorrow. And the day after that. And the day after that. And Jeremy's like, oh, man, I knew you were listening. And he throws something at him. And Alaric, like, disappears. And then he pops his head back and he goes, and the day after that.
I'm glad Alaric made fun of them because I was like, this is cringe.
Yeah, it's such a teenage couple thing to do. It's so funny. And it's so cute. And I love that it makes Jeremy start giggling. Again, a sweet moment after, like, a terrible day, a terrible week. Like, those moments, like, after you've had, like, something terrible happen like that first, like, real laugh you get to have is such a good moment. And so it's, like, so sweet that they get to have this moment together. And again, it's, like, Alaric being the fun, like, dad-uncle vibes. Like, that's such a dad thing to do. It's the most dad thing Alaric's done yet. So I really liked that moment.
I know. I do really like them. They're in a good place for right now. Less in a good place. Damon and Elena. Damon is laying in his bed, absolutely drenched in sweat. He's
soaked. They had that man with the spray gun all, like, episode.
Soaking him. Yeah, all episode, honestly. But here, he's really bad. He's really glistening.
Yeah.
But he's, telling Elena to leave because he's afraid he could hurt her. And Elena says, no, I'm not going to leave. I'm with you till the very end. Classic Elena.
Yeah.
And, Damon is still trying to tell her to leave, but he starts coughing. He's not looking good. It's getting worse, obviously. So Elena goes to, like, sit on the bed with him, next to him, and she takes his head, like, in her arms. She, like, puts her arm around him. And Elena tries to tell him it's okay. And Damon, of course, says, no, it's really not. Like, I blame Stefan for everything that happened all of those years, but no one forced me to love her. Her obviously being Katherine. And at this point, they, like, pan to Elena, and she looks so sad for Damon. Like, she's so empathetic, and this is clearly, like, she feels terrible about all this.
Yeah, and she's trying to, like, shush him and comfort him and make him not, like, get so upset about all of this. But he says, I made the wrong choice. You tell Stefan I'm sorry, okay?
I know. That got me.
That got me. Oh. So cute. And she says, I will. And he rests, like, his head against her. And visually, it's so reminiscent of Rose. It's his bedroom again. It's obviously trying. His bed. Yeah, it's obviously trying to link that together to maybe make us think that Damon could die. I mean, I think obviously, he won't, but you're like, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah.
They kill everybody.
That's true. Everyone comes back, but they do kill everyone.
Yeah. At this point, nobody comes back. They just die.
True.
So it's like, you just don't know. So I'm not gonna be able to take this next scene seriously. We cut to Alaric's apartment. Blood bags are everywhere, and Stefan is sitting on the floor finishing another one, and he, like, grunts and he looks up at Klaus.
Everything about this scene
is hilarious to me.
First of all, Elijah's just laying on the ground, still dead.
Yeah, dead. Just daggered.
Still dead and daggered. It's so funny to me. Second, Katherine is just watching, and I'm like, do you think in her head she was like, oh, thank God I can move on because I have the ick now?
That's exactly what I thought. I was like, Katherine is really seriously debating every life choice she's ever made that got her to this point, including which Salvatore brother she chose to, like, ride for. I'm like, yeah, this is
Yes, the grunt. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, he's losing it. Speaking of losing it, this is one of the moments that inspired us to do a Vampire Diaries podcast because when we rewatched this, we were like, hysterical. We lost it. We were going off because how is Stefan not full? How does his tummy not currently hurt? Like, what? This man has liters of blood. So many blood bags are empty right now. I'm like, how can he intake that much blood? God. He's not even a little bloated. He doesn't have red, rosy cheeks from the amount of blood in his system. Like, it is genuinely hysterical how much blood he's consumed.
God, it's so crazy. He's literally like squeezing these bags dry like they're Capri Suns. I'm like, how is he not sick?
Yeah, I don't understand how a vampire can actually intake that much blood. Like an entire body's worth. Like, I guess a few bags would be like one body's worth, so I could see how he could go through some, but I'm like,
I guess
he's
so,
pushing the limit.
Yeah, no. Like, how is he not sick? He's gonna like go outside and throw up later. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm picturing. Because also, again, he's been so like, you know, away from the blood. He has like maybe a blood bag like a day, if that, knowing Stefan. So like, how would you not immediately be like, my head,
my tummy hurts.
Yeah, my tummy hurts. I don't feel so good, Mom. Like that. I'm like,
he's gonna walk into Klaus's bedroom later and be like, I threw up.
That's the vibe it's giving. Although it's supposed to be like a scary vibe of a vampire losing it, but instead we're losing it, being like, he's drinking down his Capri Suns and giving himself a tummy ache. That's just what I see. So
ridiculous. I don't know.
That's how I see this scene.
Same.
It's just so funny. But anyway, back to like the actual serious stuff going on. Klaus gives Stefan another blood bag. Stefan is like, no, stop, we can't. Which is fair. I would be like, I can't.
Klaus is like the big bad, so you're like, oh, he's gonna torture him. He's gonna like quarter him or whatever they did like in old medieval times. No, he's just making him chug all these blood bags.
Yeah, he's just like, it's like his own personal like mukbang or whatever. Like he's just like keep going, Stefan. Like, it's so funny. I love this scene so much.
So good.
So anyway, Stefan's like, no more. Like, we have to get the cure to Damon. Like, this is ridiculous. And Klaus,
they've been there all day at this point.
Literally, they've been doing this for so long. For all Stefan knows, Damon's already dead.
True.
But Klaus gives Stefan the ultimatum in this scene of like, you're either gonna leave town with me, or you're gonna just stay here and Damon will be dead. Yeah. And so, of course, Stefan picks back up the blood bag. He rips the top off with his teeth and spits it out and starts drinking again. I was like, that wasn't necessary, Stefan. That was all you. You're losing it. You were losing it. Clearly.
Yeah, he's fully deranged at this point.
Yeah. So Klaus goes over to Katherine, who's just, again, been watching all of this. How she doesn't have the ick, impossible.
She must.
She definitely does. And Klaus tells Katherine to take the cure over to Damon and then come right back.
Mm-hmm. He compels her.
Compels, quote unquote. And Katherine realizes that she's being given the okay to leave. And she says, like, you want me to leave? And he's like, And so she whooshes away. Vamp speeds away immediately. Not going to waste a second of that.
Gone.
And Stefan's saying, like, no. And as soon as she leaves, he realizes, like, she will never take it to him. And he repeats to himself twice, she will never take it to him. Yeah. Klaus is standing on the side looking so triumphant.
Yeah. Like, Klaus doesn't give a shit.
He's like, gotcha.
But Stefan is so defeated. He's like, she'll never take it to him.
I know. I felt so bad. It's like all this stuff you just did. Like, the repercussions are already there. Stefan's going to become a
you just ruined his life either way.
Yeah. He's just put himself on a decade-long binger. And Damon might not even survive it. Yeah. And Klaus is always 10 steps ahead. He knew this was all he was going to do. He knew that he wasn't going to guarantee that Damon got the cure. Yeah. And now it's all up to Katherine whether she wants to give him the cure or not. Yeah. So, of course, we go to check in on Damon now at the Salvatore house. Damon is in Elena's arms. And frankly, he already looks dead at this point.
Oh, yeah. He's so pale, sweaty.
Yeah, covered in water, basically. It's past the point of normal sweat. It is literally just liquid now. Yep. He looks crazy. And Elena is still saying to him that there's hope, that they might be able to cure him. And Damon is saying that he thinks he deserves to die. And Elena lies down next to him. Their faces are really close together. And she says that he doesn't. He doesn't deserve to die. And Damon does actually apologize. Like I was saying in the first scene, I was like, he will apologize on his deathbed. And here he is on his deathbed apologizing. He says, it's okay, because if I had chosen anything differently, I wouldn't have met you. So sweet.
Stop.
And he said, I'm so sorry. I've done so many things to hurt you. which is, again, it took his deathbed to make him apologize.
I know.
But what a sweet thing, like, to say to her. And Elena tells him that she forgives him for all of it. And Damon says, I know you love Stefan, and it will always be Stefan. But I love you, and you should know that.
Oh, gutted.
What? Yeah, gutted. And she has her head on his shoulder at this point, and she's crying, obviously, at this point. And he says, you should have met me in 1864. You would have liked me. Which I think is very true. I think she would have really liked him in 1864.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's such a sweet moment. And Elena raises her head to look at him, and she says, I like you now, just the way you are. And he closes his eyes, and she leans forward and lightly kisses him. The first Delena kiss, the first time Damon and Elena ever kiss.
I know.
Granted, it's a deathbed goodbye, you're dying situation.
Yeah.
But that almost makes it more sweet in a way, where it's just coming from this place of, like, care, of, like, I want to send you off.
Yeah,
with this goodbye. I want to give this to you.
Yeah.
But imagine a man dying in your arms and using his last words to
be
say,
like, I love you.
I love you, and I'm sorry for every time I've ever hurt you.
Oh my God, her ego must have been out of control after this.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know. Also, how this is, again, I said this about a different scene, but how this is also not canonically when she's in love with him. I'm like,
I know, kind of crazy. I guess he's wild. Dying, so it kind of makes you prevent yourself from allowing.
It heightens emotions, yeah.
And so Damon says to her after she kisses him, thank you.
I cry.
So sweet.
I love it.
Until Katherine appears then.
Of course, yeah. Elena says a little like, you're welcome. And Katherine comes in. She's like, well, it's me you should be thanking because I brought the cure.
Classic.
Of course. And she goes over to, which Elena immediately like jumps out of the bed like as if they've been doing something wrong.
Yes.
Classic. And Katherine goes over and takes a vial of blood and gives Damon like a little sip. And they're talking, and Damon is like, you got free. And Katherine is like, finally. And Damon is surprised that Katherine would even come here. But Katherine says, like, I owed you one, like, for the vervain. So,
yeah,
good full circle moment.
Love it.
Love that. And Katherine tells Elena, because Elena asks, where's Stefan? And Katherine tells Elena that Stefan is paying for the cure and that he gave himself over to Klaus. So don't expect him anytime soon.
Yeah.
And Elena is, of course, like, what? And Katherine tells Elena, he just gave up everything for Damon, including you. So there's that.
Yeah. And she says it's a good thing you have Damon to keep you company. Yeah. She's throwing so many snarky things here. Because when Elena initially asks, where's Stefan? Katherine looks at her smirking and goes, are you sure you care?
Yeah.
Which, love Katherine for just rubbing all of this in Elena's face.
I know. Katherine's like, I'm on top again. I'm free. I'm on top.
I just found my weapon to, like, poke at Elena with.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, she says it's good you have Damon to keep you company. And Katherine goes to leave. And then she turns back around, and we get one of the most iconic Vampire Diaries lines. I feel like this is the line that I see the most quoted, like, our Instagram posts and things. Like, I feel like people comment this all the time because it's such a memorable line. Katherine says to Elena, it's okay to love them both. I did. Wow. What
an icon.
And then she tosses the cure into Elena's hand, and Vamp speeds away, leaving Elena and now like a more mobile Damon who's getting out of bed.
Pretty much immediately like better.
Yeah. Both of them looking shocked like at everything that just happened for multiple like reasons. Stefan's on the loose and like run away. Who knows what's going on there? They have a
Katherine's
cure.
on the loose.
Damon's not dead.
Yeah. They just kissed. Yeah. There's a lot to go.
A lot to unpack there. Yeah.
Yeah. They both are just looking like.
Oh. How do you even recover from that moment? I'd be like. So
I have
Damon
to
go take a shower and like,
oh yeah, of course.
And then I'll wait downstairs.
Yeah, I'd be like
then we'll reset.
I have to go. Let's reconvene in like 2 weeks when we forget about this.
Yeah. What a moment.
Yeah.
What an iconic scene.
Truly.
Speaking of iconic scenes, iconic moments, we get a little warehouse moment. Love a warehouse moment. And we see Elijah's now in a coffin. Classic. Again, iconic moments.
Yep. He's always in his little coffin.
He's always in a coffin.
Yeah. He's going to be put with his other siblings.
Yeah. Klaus is looking down at him and he says to Elijah's like dead body, I suppose, brother, that you've been reunited with our family. And he closes the lid and like worker men put his coffin in, as Klaus says, like put him with the others. And we see Elijah's coffin going into this big crate that is filled with other coffins. I so vividly remember when this episode aired and how people were like pausing this and like counting the numbers of coffins and like all of the crazy speculation in this summer before season 3 of like, who the heck are in the other coffins? Like, how many siblings are there? Like, how many does he have? Like, I just remember so vividly of this moment being like such a perfect little teaser for season 3 of being like, oh my God, like Klaus has all of them.
Yeah, they tee up a lot in this episode.
Yeah, it's so great. I love that. And we see Stefan is standing nearby, and he gets a text from Elena saying that Damon's okay and asking where he is. And he doesn't get to reply because Klaus, of course, comes on over. And he reveals that he knew Katherine was on Vervain. Like, and he says, I've been around a long time, Stefan. I rarely get played for a fool. Which, this is what we were saying in the last one. How'd they think they were going to just pull stuff over on Klaus so easily?
Klaus has been 10 steps ahead of them at, like, every single turn, even the Vervain. Yeah,
he's 1,000 years older than them, basically. So, of course he is.
This is also why I fully believe what you were saying in the other episode, that he left Damon alive. Yes. So he could use this.
Yeah, he knew it was going to come back around to this. Yeah. He was probably going to dagger Elijah and then go look for Stefan himself. Like,
probably, yeah.
Yeah, he knew what he was going to do. And so he says this to Stefan. And then he tells Stefan that before they leave, he has a little gift for them. Because they've got to get out of this tragic town, of course. He can't stay there. And Klaus pulls a girl out of, like, the darkness, out of the shadows that he just had at the ready. And Klaus wants to make sure that Stefan will honor their deal and will be of use to him. And so Klaus bites the girl himself, getting the blood flowing, getting that Rippah senses ready. And he says that he could have compelled the girl to be compliant, but a real Ripper enjoys the hunt. Our second Klaus, Rippah.
Love. Yeah, of course. I also love that they always cue up this, like, predator, I don't know, aspect.
Which is definitely why he bit the girl, to, like,
to get the blood. Yeah,
and to try to, like, get that hunting sense going. That's what Klaus likes to play at.
Yeah, which, of course, it immediately works. Klaus, like, you know, sets her free. And the girl runs away screaming. She's obviously, like, you know, doesn't want to be killed. Yeah. And Stefan vamp speeds right in front of her and feeds on her. And he goes full vamp eyes, like fully bloodshot eyes. He's this full with blood. Like, it's showing in the eyes. Like, this is it. Like, this, Stefan is fully in his Rippah era now, if it wasn't clear before. Yeah. And Klaus says, now we can go.
Yep. Yeah, again, like you said, this is where we really see, like, Stefan having to feed off of a living girl and killing her versus just the blood bags has really, like, escalated him to Ripper status. Like, if he had any chance of, like, backpedaling what Klaus had done to him with the blood bags, it's over now. He's killed somebody. Yeah. That's such a line for him, which we hadn't seen before. I don't think we've seen, not in that way. He's killed, like, witches and whatever people, but, like, not just an innocent girl. So, like.
Yeah, and I don't think he's fed on anyone to death that we've seen.
Not to death that we've seen, no.
Yeah, no.
In the flashbacks with Lexi we did, but
not present day.
Not modern. The only girl he's fed on is Amber. That's the only person we've seen him feed on, I think, so far.
In Elena's blood, but
Elena, obviously. But, like, the thumb pricks.
Yeah.
So this is a real game changer.
Yeah.
And again, how Stefan even has any room for blood in his body, I don't have a clue. I don't have a clue where he's keeping it, how it's not just coming out of his ears at this point. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
But anyway. Here we go with the real season 3 setup.
The real setup.
Yeah, at the Gilbert house. Jeremy is laying in bed when we see, like, a shadow kind of go across him and we hear a little noise.
Yeah, the whoosh.
Yeah, and he kind of, like, wakes up looking around. Kind of, he heard something too, obviously. And he does see, like, a shadow go across. And he gets up and he starts looking around. And he's, like, looking around. And then we see behind him Vicky Donovan watching him and kind of following him.
Yeah.
But he doesn't see her. And he goes down the stairs, and she follows him down the stairs. And he's calling out for Alaric, and we see Alaric is sleeping on the couch. And he's looking around. He's all confused. And she says, Jer. And he, like, turns around, but he doesn't see her. But obviously he must have heard her because he, like, turns towards her. And then he turns back to the kitchen, and all of a sudden right in front of him is Anna. And he's, like, shocked.
Who he sees,
He does see. And then he turns back around, and he sees Vicky.
Wild.
End of season.
Yeah, that's it.
What a, like, dramatic end. Vicky and Anna, ghosts of girlfriends past, back from the dead. End of season 2, and clearly such a dramatic setup of we're getting ghosts in season 3.
Yeah.
Again, this is why this show has killed so many people to this point and left them dead, because now we get ghosts.
Yeah, that's true. It works so well. Yeah, and it's. Oh, of course, it's got to be Jeremy, too, because, like you said, all of his girlfriends have died, so of course.
Yeah, might as well. He's got the perfect picking for the ghosts.
Yeah, which also, The thing that I thought about this scene, though, I'm thinking about in season 3, don't they say Jeremy has to be, like, thinking of them, sort of, to bring them back?
Yes.
Like, interesting.
He probably was thinking about them because
he was probably just thinking generally
died
about
today,
death.
And Jenna just died. I'm sure he's thinking about them in a vague sense. So.
Yeah. Thought that was interesting, though.
It is interesting.
But yeah.
What a crazy
Oh my god. Yeah. I don't love like ghost girlfriends as much, but I love season 3.
I love
so
the ghosts
much.
in general, and I do like this early ghost girlfriend thing.
That's
obviously,
true. And I love that we get Anna back. I do like Anna a lot.
I like Anna.
I hate that he cheats on Bonnie with her, but
yeah, literally crazy. And I will say I like Vicky as like a story
that's true.
element. You know, like she's not a person that I like, but I like her as a storytelling device.
And I like that she and Matt get to interact again, sort of like in like episode 5 or something like that.
Yeah. So yeah. Ghost of Girlfriend Past are back.
Yeah, love that. Love season 2. Can't wait for season 3. But for now, to wrap up season 2, Ghosts, perfect segue into our in memoriam section, of course. First death, obviously, Jeremy being shot by Liz Forbes. Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, his second death.
Yeah, his second death. That's true.
But like a pretty legit one this time.
This was real. Yeah, this doesn't even go toward like the ring count or anything. Like, he really died. That was crazy.
Resurrected by Bennett Magic, thank goodness.
Yeah. And the other death was the random girl in the warehouse killed by Stefan.
Yeah.
I think that was it.
Drained of blood. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, surprisingly for how much it was like a death is imminent. Damon was obviously on the chopping block the whole time, so.
Yeah, it's true. He was on the chopping block.
I'm always all about the chopping block. Yeah. But speaking of the freaking chopping block, out of pocket things were really done. Oh my god. It has to go to Liz Forbes in my opinion. It is technically too serious. However, I'm like, it's just so out of pocket that she just shot at Damon. And instead killed a teenage boy. I'm like, I can't get over that. I can't get past it.
Yeah, I think my justification for it, that Liz needed to basically murder someone so that she could more easily understand Caroline.
Makes sense.
For that reason, I'm like, from a writer's perspective, I'm like, I get that she needed to do something like that. But did it have to be that? I don't know.
Yeah.
Hard to say.
Yeah.
The only thing I had for my out of pocket was just Klaus making Stefan drink all this blood. I was like he was wild for this.
Yeah. So that can go out of pocket. Liz is a little too serious, but I had to call it out again.
No, of course. It's outrageous.
What a situation.
Yeah, it's too crazy. But
we'll give it to Klaus for just force feeding Stefan multiple bags of blood. Yeah. So many blood. And then a girl after that on top of that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. He's wild.
Yeah, really wild. So I guess Klaus, winner of out of pocket this time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that brings us to quote, which I would love to nominate a Rippah quote. We are the Rippah Diaries, so we'd love to say that I think a Rippah quote should be the winner of best quote, but there was such a clear winner to me as soon as I heard it. I was like, that is one of the best quotes of the show. It has to win.
Yeah. I did have a little honorable mention. I like Elena's line to Damon. I like you now, just the way you are.
So sweet.
It was just cute. Yeah. I just like that moment.
I like that one. But of course,
the quote is obvious.
Everything is overshadowed by Katherine saying, "It's okay to love them both. I did." We all feel this way. Yeah.
Yeah.
She speaks to all of us.
Exactly. We all love them both. Even the Delena shippers love Stefan. Yeah. Like vice versa. Yeah.
Yeah. And if it's not Stefan and Damon for you, it's Elijah and Klaus. So
exactly. It is okay to love them both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all
That's
do.
It. Yeah. Exactly.
Easy best quote winner.
Easy. Yeah. Same for a song. I
feel like it's there's a lot of good songs in this one.
Yeah.
I had a couple like honorable mentions. I liked Speakers by Days Difference that plays while Alaric's at the Girl Being a Drunk and Caroline is at the park with Jeremy and Elena. It felt like a good Vampire Diaries song.
Yeah.
So I liked that one.
Yeah. I did like most of the songs, but there was one that just so very clearly stuck out to me.
Interesting. Well, the other one we have to nominate, if it's not your winner, is I Should Go by Levy Christ, which is Damon and Elena's Kiss. Okay. It's a very sweet song.
Yeah, I should have given honorable mention to that. I just was so like, I know
where the winner's going, but I'm like, I have to tell these two.
But I do really like that. And I was thinking, like, the lyrics are so perfect. Like, the lyrics that play make so much sense with the scene.
Yeah.
Like, okay. That one is good, too. I'll give that one my honorable mention.
It's their first kiss. Yeah. I should go. I'm dying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very cute. But yes, I agree. There was one song that so clearly stood out so immediately that I was like, yes, I remember this moment so well. And it's, of course,
like I said, religious experience. It's Turned to Stone by Ingrid Michaelson. It plays while Damon is standing in front of the sun-filled room, in front of the beautiful stained glass crest window.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so beautiful. And the song, like, it builds as he's doing this. And it's, it's so good.
And the lyrics, like, Turn to Stone, you know, the whole, like, vampire lore of, like, stones. It just, like, makes sense. It's perfect. I really liked that song, too. I think it's a good song, and I also think it fit the moment so perfectly.
Yeah, it did.
So I agree. It was a clear winner.
Clearly, Turned to Stone by Ingrid Michaelson.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can do this reverse this time. We'll be adding Turned to Stone by Ingrid Michaelson to our Spotify playlist, so you can go listen to the best episodes of. Now we'll have a full season 2 playlist. We have the season 1 playlist, and then we have all the songs. And you can also check out our Instagram and TikTok, where we post clips from the pod, polls, memes, lots of fun random stuff. So go check that out.
Yeah. And you can check out our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Most of those podcasting sites will have it. And you can also watch the video version on YouTube. So we're so excited. Obviously, this is the end of season 2. So we're going to be taking a little bit of a break before we get to season 3, episode 1, to do some special episodes. Yeah. But we will be back with season 3, episode 1, The Birthday, on May 30th. And until then, we have multiple special episodes planned out for each week, including Vampire Diaries themed trivia, an episode focused on the humanities switch.
Yes, that one's been promised for a long time.
That one has been promised for a long time. And we have many more fun topics that we've come up with to focus on in those weeks before we get to season 3, again on May 30th. But next week we are going to be doing a special 1-year anniversary of the Rippah Diaries.
Unreal.
It's officially been a year since we started this podcast. So we're going to talk about some of our favorite moments from season 1 and 2, and we're going to read comments that like made us laugh, that made us think. You guys leave such good comments, and we wanted to give a space to like reflect,
appreciate those. There are always so many good theories, and also just things that I'm like, you guys are funny.
Yeah, you guys are so funny.
Like, I wish we could have you all on as guests. So this is our way of doing that.
Yeah, so we will be doing a special 1-year anniversary focused episode of the Rippah Diaries next week. So we hope we see you there. Thanks for watching and or listening to this season 2 finale of Vampire Diaries.
Yeah.
And we hope we see you next week. Bye.